It's looking like it's a Wednesday, and I keep ignoring kids. We have a kid out in the hallway taking a quiz. When she comes back, she's going to give you her white book, and this one that's right on top next to you, I'm going to have you give her that one. We will continue from that. Day of service. If you got a permission slip, not every group did, just ones that are having kids walk away from FJH or ride a bus away. Make sure you turn in permission slip. You can either turn it back into that teacher, or your first period teacher, or your English teacher. Any of those are fine. If you have a permission slip and you don't turn it in, then that day happens, you just spend the day in ISR. So I just figured I'd give you a heads up. It's probably not the best choice, but just trying to help you out. And yes, my regular kids are getting the part in the book where they have Johnny passing away in the stay gold. And so that's why I'm wearing my stay gold shirt for today. And then tomorrow I will wear my I Killed Bob shirt.
Huh?
So up yonder, come back, why you don't? Yeah, in that little area up there, yesterday it looked like it was the same picture, but it was different because I had a group that wanted me to Photoshop raccoons into their picture, and so they did their group picture of them just acting like they were holding raccoons, and then you see the little raccoons. So that was the one I had up there today, was the little raccoon picture.
Wow.
So just trying to help you guys out on that.
Huh? That was crazy. Why?
I don't know, kids are weird. Doesn't that explain a lot? This was me, stop it, getting rid of Amelia so she can go out and take a test. To you guys, again, those of you who did well on it, if you are still wanting buttons, just have to email me a picture. Takes me about 24 hours, and then I get it back to you. I cross them off as I keep track. This is just sort of my list overall. If you are not wanting button, rumor is Vinta is willing to spend fat cash to buy it from you.
I will buy a button for me. I need money for Starbucks.
That
My
is-
daddy won't pay for it.
There you go. Madison apparently has issues. And she found her book, so she now got her money back. So happy day for her. Hi, Caleb.
What if he gives me $5 and I make him a button?
That sounds like a you thing.
Do you have a button maker?
Then, as far as the Gospels went, or the sermons went, I did go through and grade all of them. We had 17 kids turn it in, and 6 kids choose to take zeros. If you did not turn in your sermon, it did give you a 0 and cost you B points, which was a surprise for some kids. If you did not do the responses, again, it gave you a 0 and again cost B points. And I went through 11 of the 17 were all about the homework, so I definitely saw a theme. So on those, for the most part, if you followed directions, you got a 10, unless you were the kid who literally wrote like a sentence and a half. In that case, you did not get a 10. Those of you who did not write about homework, I gave you extra credit because it was nice to read one that was not the same thing over and over again.
But I was one of the first people to do it.
Or you could watch all the kids talking over me and losing points again because it's such a fun game we get to play from there. If you have gone back and done your responses on the 75 items, again, I don't grade it unless you email me. If you don't email me, they won't be graded. Same thing with this one. If you have now turned in your sermon or your things, if you email me, I'll happily grade it. Don't email me, not a problem. Now remember, if you've noticed, Elena has had her hand up for a long time. That's because I am now not calling on her, because every time you ask a bad question, you now get put into question timeout for 10 minutes. So that is why a number of kids don't have me come back and call on them. I know. Did you use points?
No, Johnny, steal it from me. Can you believe this?
What's that? You want me to charge you both points because I'm going to get involved? Oh, this is a fun game. Will, what's up?
Well, mine was about homework and something else.
Was it about homework and something else?
Yeah,
Okay, what was it about?
it was about the new schedule.
Oh. Did it start off complaining about the homework?
Kinda.
There you go. Hi, Bella.
Can you print out all of the ones about homework and hang them on the walls so the teachers can read them and take a hint?
I don't think that is going to happen whatsoever.
Teachers are pretty bad at taking it.
Can I print them all out and hang
You're
them on the walls?
welcome to.
Am I allowed to? Will I get in trouble for hanging them on the wall?
That's between you and the math teacher or English teacher or whoever you're hanging it up for. Caleb, what's up?
I submitted 2 of them. Does the second one count as a homework one?
No, I carried as your first one. You were good to go on that one.
Also, I wasn't complaining about homework on that one.
Have we regretted our poor choices yet? That's a bummer. What's up?
I'm gonna keep my
Kindly and respectfully request that you listen
She didn't raise her hand, so I don't have to. So then, as we go back to Princess,
Except for my face.
yeah, she accepted her fate. Everything's good. We're fine on that one. As we get back into from there, our historical fiction, again, we have to get through the actual historical thing about him yapping about his childhood. We did, we'll start getting, we did a little bit of sass. We're not fully into the sass yet, so we'll get our sassy bits. We talked about Stanley Hack. That is quite
Fresh is
interesting.
so dreamy. Right.
And then we did the Bronco Nagurski. Both of those are some interesting, those of you who know sports, do you know what city this story is taking place in?
Chicago.
Where's your evidence?
It's
Yeah,
it says Chicago right there.
Just
I
making
like
sure.
the Cubs.
Yeah, and the Bears.
The Cubs are better than
Nicely
the
done again. See who was paying attention on that one.
Cubs. Yes, they are.
And not gotten that one yet. We are still on this part. All right.
What? Oh, found it. Temple of Gold. He said the book. This is my
Page 4. Yes, we shall talk about how this is.
Only on page 4.
Yeah. And that's why I'm trying to get through it, because I want to get to the best part of the book, which is in chapter 1. Maybe not the best part, but one of my favorite parts. I'm trying to get to it by Friday. Fingers crossed, I'm trying.
Why?
I don't even know how to answer that question.
I revoked my question.
I accept your revoking. So we're going to get to the part where it says, who this publicity lady said. Because they're saying, I think in the front of your book, do you have yours is different.
This is what it looks
You
like.
do. So if you look at that very first page, if you open it up where it says praise for the Princess Bride, that's what he needed for this book, because it's usually famous people who have read your book, like Stephen King or Patterson, and they're like, this guy writes a really good book. That's what he's going for, is he's trying to find a little responsive thing to put in the front of the book. Who? This publicity lady said. This old teacher of mine. You send her a copy, I'll sign it, and maybe write a little. I was really excited until this publicity guy interrupted with, we were thinking of someone more on the national scene. Very softly, I said, Miss Roginski, you just send her a copy, please, okay? Yeah, by all means. You remember how I didn't ask who Churchill played for because of her tone? I must have hit that same tone too just then. Anyway, something must have happened because he right away wrote her name down, asking, was it Ski or Sky? With the I told him, already hiking through the years, trying to get the inscription fantastic for her. Clever, modest, brilliant, perfect, like that. Her first name? That brought me back fast. I didn't know her first name. Miss was all I ever called her. I didn't know her address either. I didn't even know if she was alive or not. I hadn't been back to Chicago in 10 years. I was an only child. Both folks dead. Who needed Chicago? Send it to Highland Park Grammar School, I said. And the first what I thought I'd write was, for Miss Roginski, a rose from your late bloomer. But then I thought that was too conceited. So I decided, for Miss Roginski, a weed from your late bloomer would be more humble. Okay, that's too humble, I decided next. And that was it for bright ideas that day. I couldn't think of anything. Then I thought, what if she doesn't even remember me? Hundreds of students over the years. Why should she? So finally, in desperation, I put, for Miss Roginski, from William Goldman, Billy, you called me, and you said I'd be a late bloomer, and this book is for you, and I hope you like it. I was in your class for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. Thank you very much, William Goldman. The book came out and got bombed. I stayed in and did the same, adjusting. If the book bombed, what does that tell you?
Bad.
Correct. And if he says he got bombed?
What?
Very bad.
What?
Oh, he got wasted.
Thanks. Yes. Apparently he did not take the fact that his first book did not sell well. Not only did it not establish me as the freshest thing since Kit Marlowe, a name you probably have no idea who that is because it goes back to Shakespeare times, it also didn't get read by anybody. Okay, that's not true. It got read by any number of people. It's just all of them I knew. I think it's safe to say, however, no strangers savored it. It was a grinding experience, and I reacted as indicated above. So when Miss Roginski's note came, late, it got sent to Knopf, and they took their time relaying it. I was really ready for a lift. Dear Mr. Goldman, thank you for the book. I've not had time yet to read it, but I am sure it is a fine endeavor. I, of course, remember you. I remember all my students. Yours sincerely, Antonia Roginski. What a crusher. Obviously, she didn't remember me at all. I sat there holding the note, rocked. People just don't remember me, really. It's not any paranoid thing. I just have this habit of slipping through memories. It doesn't bother me all that much, except I guess that's a lie. It does. For some reason, I test very high on forgettability. So when Miss Roginski sent me that note, making her just like everyone else, I was glad she'd never gotten married. I'd never liked her anyway. She'd always been a rotten teacher, and it served her right that her first name was Antonia. I didn't mean it, I said out loud right then. I was alone in my one-room job on Manhattan's glamorous West Side, talking to myself. I'm sorry, I went on. You've got to believe that, Miss Roginski. What had happened, of course, was that I'd finally seen the postscript, the P.S. It was on the back of the thank you note. And what it said was, idiot, not even the immortal S. Morgenstern can feel more parental than I. S. Morgenstern, the Princess Bride. She remembered. Flashback. A couple things. One, this is going to be a flashback inside of a flashback, because we're already flashing back to when he was talking about this. Now he's going to flash back even further to when he first found the Princess Bride.
We're
Also,
in a flashback right now.
we are in a flashback right now.
So we're in another flashback.
We're in a flashback. And also, if any of you guys ever become like a big famous person and go on to write a book and you write me a letter in the future, I will also respond calling you an idiot. It's the least I can do.
I feel so supported.
Listen, you idiots, keep listening, okay?
Will you
See?
remember me?
My caring shh, idiot, I'm trying to read. My caring has already begun. Oh, I like this caring thing. So yes, now we're going to flash back to him being a child. 1941, autumn. I'm a little cranky because my radio won't get the football games. Northwestern is playing Notre Dame. It starts at 1, and by 1:30, I can't get the game. Music, news, soap operas, everything, but not the biggie. I call for my mother. She comes. I tell her my radio's busted. I can't find Northwestern Notre Dame. She says, you mean the football? Yeah. I say, it's Friday, she says. I thought they played on Saturday. Am I an idiot? I lie back, listening to the soaps, and after a little bit, I try finding it again. And my stupid radio will pick up every Chicago station except the one carrying the football game. Oh, I really holler now. And again, my mother tears in. I am going to heave this radio right out the window. It's like saving a child. I say, it won't get it. It won't get it. I can't make it get it. Get what? She says. The football game! How dumb are you? The game! Saturday. And you watch your tongue, young man. I already told you, it's Friday. She goes out again. Oh, was there ever so ample a dunce? Humiliated, I flick around on my trusty Zenith trying to find the football game. It's so frustrating. I was lying there sweating and my stomach felt dizzy and I was pounding the top of the radio to try to make it work. And that was how they discovered I was delirious with pneumonia. So that's why he was struggling. As it turns out, when you have pneumonia, you end up getting like a brain fever, which makes your brain get all cooked and you can't think straight.
I don't remember doing that.
It's probably because your brain was cooking at the time. So there you go.
It was already cooked.
Yeah. You can't cook something that's already cooked. Tommy.
Yes, you can.
That's called
I think
burning.
that's attacking a
It's
child.
double cooking.
Oh.
It's
Now,
like a double flashback.
pneumonia today is not what it once was, especially when I had it. 10 days or so in the hospital and then home for the long recuperating period. I guess it was 3 more weeks in bed, a month maybe, no energy, no games even. I was just this lump going through a strength gathering time, period. Which is how you have to think of me when I came upon the Princess Bride. It was my first night home, drained, still one sick cookie. My father came in. I thought to say good night. He sat on the end of my bed. Chapter 1, The Bride. It was only then I kind of looked up and saw he was holding a book. There we go. There's our delirious. Oh,
What the?
He doesn't look smart.
Look, it's Lucas.
Wait.
I looked up and saw he was holding a book. Now, that alone was surprising. My father was next to illiterate. You guys know what illiterate means?
That means you
can't read.
You can't read.
I use it to describe my third period all the time.
No, you use it to describe
In
everyone
English.
other than your third period.
In English. Now, he came from Florence, which is the setting of The Princess Bride, and there he had been no fool. He had said once he would have ended up a lawyer, and maybe so. The facts are, when he was 16, he got a shot at coming to America, gambled on the land of opportunity, and lost. There was never much here for him. He was not attractive to look upon. He was very short, and from an early age, bald, and he was ponderous at learning. Once he got a fact, it stayed. But the hours it took to pass into his cranium were not to be believed. His English always stayed ridiculously immigrantry, and that didn't help him either. Immigrantry means he has broken English. It doesn't sound very well when you speak. He met my mother on the boat over, got married later, and when he thought they could afford it, had me. He worked forever as the number 2 chair in the least successful barbershop in Highland Park, Illinois. Toward the end, he used to doze all day in his chair. He went that way. He was gone an hour before the number 1 guy even realized it. Until then, he just thought my father was having a good doze. Maybe he was. Maybe that's all any of this is. When they told me, I was terribly upset, but I thought at the same time, it was an almost existence-proving way for him to go. Anyway, I said, huh? What? I didn't hear. I was so weak, so terribly tired. Chapter 1, The Bride. He held up the book then. I'm reading it to you, for relax. He practically shoved the book in my face. By S. Morgenstern, great Florinese writer. The Princess Bride. He too came to America. S. Morgenstern, dead now in New York. The English is his own. He spoke 8 tongues. Here my father put down the book and held up all his fingers. 8! See, that's telling you his father.
That's 10.
Good job. So proud of you, Lucas. So telling you more about.
All
Right.
That's 67.
8! Once in Florence City, I was at. Have we hit the 10-minute mark? What's up, Elena?
You want to hear a dad joke?
No. But if are you working on homework?
No. I
Yes.
finished it.
Okay.
Your iPad is literally on right now.
I know.
And
Literally.
Literally.
I was in his cafe. He shook his head now. He was always doing that, my father, shaking his head when he'd said it wrong. Not his cafe. He was in it. Me too. The same time. I saw him. S. Morgenstern. He had head like this, that big. And he shaped his hands like a big balloon. Great man in Florence City. Not so much in America. Has it got any sports in it? Fencing. Fighting, torture, poison, true love, hate, revenge, giants, hunters, bad men, good men, beautiful ladies, snakes, spiders, beasts of all natures and descriptions, pain, death, brave men, cowardly men, strong as men, chases, escapes, lies, truth, passion, miracles. Sounds okay, I said. Total kid response. And I kind of closed my eyes. I'll do my best to stay awake, but I'm awful sleepy, Daddy. Who can know when his world is going to change? Who can tell before it happens that every prior experience, all the years, were a preparation for nothing? Picture this now, an all but illiterate old man struggling with an enemy tongue, an all but exhausted young boy fighting against sleep, and nothing between them but the words of another alien, painfully translated from native sounds to foreign. Who could suspect that in the morning a different child would wake? I remember for myself only trying to beat back fatigue. Even a week later, I was not aware of what had begun that night. The doors that were slamming shut, while others slid into the clear. Perhaps I should have at least known something, but maybe not. Who can sense revelation in the wind? What happened was this. I got hooked on the story. For the first time in my life, I became actively interested in a book. Me, the sports fanatic, the game freak, the only 10-year-old in Illinois with a hate on for the alphabet, actually wanted to know what happened next. What became of beautiful Buttercup and poor Wesley and Inigo, the greatest swordsman in the history of the world? How really strong was Fezzik, and were there limits to the cruelty of Vizzini, the double Sicilian? Each night, my father read to me, chapter by chapter, always fighting to sound the words properly, to nail down the sense. And I lay there, eyes kind of closed, my body slowly beginning the long flow back to strength. It took, as I said, probably a month. And in that time, he read The Princess Bride twice to me. Even when I was able to read myself, this book remained his. I would never have dreamed of opening it. I wanted his voice, his sounds. Later, years later even, sometimes I might say, how about the duel on the cliff with Inigo and the man in black? And my father would get the book, lick his thumb, turning pages till the mighty battle began. Oh, I loved that. Even today, that's how I summon back my father when the need arises, slumped and squinting and halting over words, giving me Morgenstern's masterpiece as best he could. The Princess Bride belonged to my father. Everything else was mine. There wasn't an adventure story anywhere that was safe from me. Come on, I would say to Miss Roginski when I was well again. Stevenson, you keep saying Stevenson. I have finished reading Stevenson. Who now? And she would say, try Scott, see how you like him. So I tried old Sir Walter, and I liked him well enough to butt through a half dozen books in December. A lot of that was Christmas vacation, when I didn't have to interrupt my reading for anything, but now and then a little bit of food. Who else? Who else? Cooper, maybe? She'd say. So off I went into the Deer Slayer and all the leather stocking stuff. And then on my own one day, I stumbled onto Dumas and D'Artagnan, and that got me through most of February, those guys. You have become, before my very eyes, a novelholic. Do you realize you're spending more time now reading than you used to spend on games? Do you know that your arithmetic grades are actually getting worse? I never minded when she knocked me. We were alone in the schoolroom, and I was after her for somebody good to devour. She shook her head. You're certainly blooming, Billy, before my very eyes. I just don't know into what. I just stood there and waited for her to tell me to read somebody. You're impossible standing there waiting. All right, try Hugo, Hunchback of Notre Dame. Hugo, Hunchback, thank you! And I turned, ready to begin my sprint to the library. I heard her words sigh behind me as I moved. This can't last. It just can't last. But it did, and it has. I am as devoted to adventure now as then, and that's never going to stop. The first book of mine I mentioned, The Temple of Gold, do you know where the title comes from? It comes from the movie Gunga Din, which I have seen 16 times, and I still think is the greatest adventure movie ever made. A quick pause for this next part. You have to realize that this was before we had streaming services, and if you wanted to see a movie, the only place you could see it was at a movie theater. And sometimes movie theaters would show old movies to try to bring people in. So if you had a favorite old movie that you wanted to see, the only way to see it was to go out to a theater. That's what he's going to reference here. True story about Gunga Din. When I got discharged, meaning he got out from the Army, I made a vow never to go back to an Army base. No big deal, just a simple lifelong vow. Okay, now I'm home the day after I get out of the Army, and I've got a buddy who's at Fort Sheridan nearby, and I call to check in. He says, hey, guess what's playing on the movie theater tonight? Gunga Din. Oh, let's go. I said, it's tricky. You're a civilian now. Upshot? I got back into my uniform the first night I was out and snuck onto an Army base to see the movie. I snuck back, thief in the night, heart pounding, the sweats, everything. I'm addicted to action, adventure, call it what you will in any way, shape, etc. I never missed an Alan Ladd picture, an Errol Flynn picture. I still don't miss John Wayne pictures. My whole life really began when my father reading me the Morgenstern when I was 10. Fact, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is, no question, the most popular thing that I have ever been connected with, which is this famous movie he wrote the screenplay for that became huge. When I die, if the New York Times gives me an obituary, it's going to be because of Butch. Okay, now what's the scene everybody talks about? The single moment that stays fresh for you and the masses? Answer, the jump off the cliff. Well, when I wrote that, I remember thinking that those cliffs they were jumping off, those were the cliffs of insanity that everybody tries to climb in The Princess Bride. In my mind, when I wrote Butch, I was thinking back further into my mind, remembering my father reading the rope climb up the cliffs of insanity and the death that was lurking right behind. That book was the single best thing that happened to me. Sorry about that, Helen. Helen is my wife, this hotshot child psychiatrist. And long before I was even married, I knew I was going to share it with my son. I knew I was going to have a son, too. So, when Jason was born, okay, if he'd been a girl, he would have been called Pammy. Can you believe that? A woman child psychiatrist who would give her kids such names. Anyway, when Jason was born, I made a mental note to buy him a copy of The Princess Bride for his 10th birthday. After which, I promptly forgot all about it. Flash forward. So now we're no longer in that old flashback. We're now in just kind of a kind of flashback. And you're going to put your book there, and he's going to hook you up with a book here in a second. Flash forward. The Beverly Hills Hotel last December. I am going mad having meetings on Ira Levin's The Stepford Wives, which I am adapting for the silver screen. I call my wife in New York at dinner time, which I always do. It makes her feel wanted. And we're talking at the close, and she says, "Oh, we're giving Jason a 10-speed bike. I bought it today. I thought that was fitting. Don't you?" "Why is it fitting?" "Oh, come on, Willie. 10 years, 10 speeds. Oh, is he 10 tomorrow? That went clean out of my head. Call us at supper time tomorrow, and you can wish him a happy." "Helen," I said then, "listen, do me something. Buzz the 999 bookshop and have them send over The Princess Bride." "Okay, let me get a pencil." "Okay, shoot. What's the what bride?" "Princess. It's by S. Morgenstern. It's a kid's classic. Tell him I'll quiz him on it when I'm back next week and that he doesn't have to like it or anything. But if he doesn't, tell him I'll kill myself. Give him that message exactly, please. I wouldn't want to apply any extra pressure or anything." Yeah, that's not going to give a kid anxiety whatsoever. "Kiss me, my fool. Mwah! No starlets now." This was always her sign-off line when I was alone and on the loose in sunny California. "They're extinct, dummy." That was mine. We hung up. I'm assuming you don't know what a starlet is. A starlet is a famous female actress. Any one of them. So whoever you can think of that's a female and like leads movies, they're called starlets. So it's usually the hottie girls. And so because he was this famous writer at this time, he kept going out to Hollywood. And since she was living back in New York, her thing was like, "Hey, don't go flirting with any starlets now." And he was like, "Oh, they don't even exist anymore." The only thing worse than watching teenagers flirt is watching old people flirt. It is just as awkward. Yeah.
No, even more. I know from seeing my
Thanks.
parents.
Now, oh, by the way, it's about to get awkward. Now, the next afternoon, it so happened from somewhere there actually appeared a living, suntanned, breathing deeply starlet. I'm lolling by the pool, and she moves by in a bikini, and she is gorgeous. I'm free. Oh, you can't slap your book down now. It's going to get so much worse. I'm free for the afternoon, and I don't know a soul, so I start playing a game about how can I approach this girl so she won't laugh out loud. Okay, I never do anything, but ogling is great exercise, and I'm a major league girl watcher. Ogling is an old person term for creepily staring at girls. I can't come up with any approach that connects with reality. So I start to swim my laps. I swim a quarter mile a day because I have a bad disc at the base of my spine. Up and back, up and back. 18 laps. And when I'm done, I'm hanging on the deep end, panting away, and over swims the starlet. She hangs on the ledge in the deep end too, maybe all of 6 inches away, hair all wet and glistening, and the body's underwater, but you know it's there. And she says, okay, now this actually happened. Pardon me, but aren't you the William Goldman who wrote Boys and Girls Together? That's like my favorite book in all the world. I clutched the ledge and nod. I don't remember what I said exactly. Okay, that's a lie. I remember exactly what I said, except it's too goon-like to put it down. God, I'm 40 years old. Goldman, yes, Goldman, I'm Goldman. It came out like all in one word, so there's no telling what language she even thought I was responding in. I'm Sandy Sterling. Hi. Hi, Sandy Sterling, I got out, which was pretty suave. Well, I mean, suave for me anyway. Suave is old person speak for Riz. I'd say it again if the same situation came up. Then my name was paged. The Zanooks won't leave me alone, I say. And she breaks out laughing, and I hurry to the phone, thinking, was it really all that clever? And by the time I get there, I decide, yeah, it was. And into the receiver, I say that. Clever! Not hello, not Bill Goldman. Clever is what I say. By the way, what is this girl doing?
Flirting.
She is definitely flirting. But again, we're not in the bad part yet. Did you say clever, Willie? Is Helen. I'm in a story conference, Helen, and we're speaking tonight at supper time. Why are you calling at lunch for? Is he in a story conference?
No.
What do we call that?
Lying.
Why is he lying?
Because he's flirting with a girl.
Why are you calling at lunch for? Hostile. Never argue with your wife about hostility when she's a certified Freudian, means psychiatrist. It's just, they're driving me crazy with stupid notions in the story conference. What's up? Nothing, probably, except the Morgenstern is out of print. I checked with Doubleday, too. You sounded kind of like it would be important, so I'm just letting you know Jason will have to be satisfied with this very fitting 10-speed machine. It's not important. Sandy Sterling was smiling from the deep end, straight at me. Thanks, though. Anyway, I was about to hang up. Then I said, as long as you've gone this far, can you call Argosy, that's a bookstore, on 59th Street? They specialize in out-of-print stuff. Argosy, 59th, got it. Talk to you at supper. She hung up. She hung up without saying, no starlets now. Every call, she ends with that. And now she doesn't? Could I have given it away by something in my tone? Helen's very spooky about that being a shrink and all. Shrink meaning psychiatrist, brain doctor. Guilt, like pudding, began bubbling on the back burner. I went back to my lounge chair. Alone. Sandy Sterling swam a few laps.